Welcome back to another episode of the Crime Scene Insiders. I'm one of your hosts, Dion Watson, and I'm joined by my co-host, Angela Davies, and we're going to take you under the barrier tape. We've got some exciting news. After the success of CrimeCon Birmingham, we're heading to CrimeCon London, and you are invited. Clear your calendar for the 3rd and 4th of October 2026, because the ultimate true crime event is back, bigger, bolder, and more gripping than ever. We can't wait to join an incredible lineup of true crime creators, investigators, authors, and fellow true crime enthusiasts.
Whether you're deep into every episode or just starting your journey into the world of true crime, this is your chance to connect, ask questions, and be part of something truly special. Come and say hi, we'd love to meet you, and together we can immerse ourselves in a weekend full of discovery, discussion, and advocacy.
Head to crimecon.co.uk to secure your tickets, and don't forget to use our code INSIDERS for 10% off. Get ready for CrimeCon London, partnered by the True Crime Channel, your trusted home for real stories, real experts, and real investigations.
Announcements about guest speakers and content creators are being released on the CrimeCon UK social channels, so keep your eyes peeled and we look forward to seeing you there. And now for this week's episode. This week, we have got a really special episode coming up for you because we're going to be doing a deep dive into the Manchester arena bombings that took place here in the UK back in 2017. And we have with us Bob Gallagher MBE, who was also here with us last week. So thank you so much for coming back on again, Bob. We really appreciate it. We're doing 2 episodes with Bob because his career's just been absolutely amazing. And he started out as a crime scene investigator at Greater Manchester Police and then became crime scene manager and crime scene coordinator and did that for a lot of years and had a lot of amazing experience before then moving into counter-terrorism. A fortnight ago, we discussed his career and some of the amazing cases that he worked on, including the Harold Shipman case. But this week, we are going to focus solely on the Manchester arena bombings and the work that Bob did there, because we think this is a really interesting and important story to tell. So to get us started, Bob, can you give us a bit of information and overview of what happened at the Manchester arena bombings? I'm sure a lot of our listeners will be aware, but for those that maybe aren't, those that are listening internationally, can you just give us that background and overview to bring us in?
Yeah, Manchester Arena was the biggest indoor arena in Europe for some time. And in 2017, it was hosting a concert by Ariana Grande, who is a young female singer. And at that concert, towards the end of it, a male by the name of Salman Abedi walked into the crowds that were coming out, exiting the concert itself, and detonated a homemade explosive device which he was carrying, doing a suicide bombing in which himself was killed, and he also killed 22 innocent people and also injured hundreds more. So that's what actually happened on the night. So I'll talk you through what happened leading up to it and then what happened after it as well.
This was one of the biggest terrorist attacks that the UK had seen since the London 7/7 bombings, wasn't it?
Yes, the 7/7 bombing, you had over 50 people were killed in the tube and on the bus at Russell Square. They were suicide bombers on the London tubes as well. So yeah, it was the biggest one that we've had since then.
Can you talk us through what your role was, and also, I suppose, taking it a step back a little bit, what it was like receiving that call, knowing what had happened and being asked to go to a scene like this?
Yeah, well, part of my role as a forensic manager is also bomb scene manager. So we were trained for that. And I've been fortunate enough to go to America to train with the FBI on their post-bomb blast course. There's about 5 of us in the UK that have done that course. So I've got a little bit of experience in dealing with bomb scenes, but not major bomb scenes like happened on the night of the arena. We also do all the training in the UK. We have a thing what they call Satan Force, where we train with the military, the bomb squad. They do a relicensing and the police sort of piggyback onto that. We do different scenarios. And one of the scenarios that we do runs over 2 days. We have CSIs, we have exhibit officers, we have search officers, police search officers. And what we do is first day, they do some inputs to do with theory side, some presentations to do with bomb scene management, recovery of exhibits, forensic explosive laboratory, bomb data center, etc. And basically what is out there and what would happen if there was an explosion and how you would deal with it. And then on the second day, the day that I used to run, we would take the students, the staff up to, it's an old farm, disused farm above Catterick in North Yorkshire, in the moors, nothing around for miles. And we would set up a scene there where we would have a motor vehicle, a couple of mannequins that's been disrupted, blown up, lying around. And we would actually set off a small IED. And then we would talk the staff through it, how to recover DVI side of it, disaster victim identification. They would recover the body parts, etc. And then do a full forensic recovery, looking for explosives and doing the recovery of what's left of the device, etc. So I've got the experience of that. To say a lot of the CT and CSIs train for that as well. So that if something does come along that is an attack, we've got staff that are trained for it. I've been and helped out around the country, we're in the UK, at other areas where devices have gone off. So we've got that little bit of experience. So on the night, on the 22nd of May 2017, like I say, it's a massive arena, and it's literally built above a train station. So in the city of Manchester itself, there's two main train stations. You've got Piccadilly train station, which covers the trains towards London and the sort of East Coast and down south. And then you've got Victoria Station, which covers more the West Coast. So it goes out towards Liverpool, it goes out towards North Manchester, into Sheffield, Leeds, etc. Not as busy as Piccadilly, but it's more a commuter station. So you're getting a lot of people coming in there from the outlying districts. Got this arena built above it, and it's a 5-minute walk into the main shopping area of Manchester. All different things go in there, boxing matches. They used to have ice hockey and then different types of concerts. On the night itself, it was a Monday night. Device went off at 10:31 in the evening, just as Ariana was finishing off her act on stage and people were starting to come out. To give you a bit of an idea of what the arena looks like, it's above the train station. So you would enter into the train station itself, into Victoria Station. And also in Victoria Station, there's a tram stop. So you get the trams that go through the city centre. There's two lines that come through Victoria. So again, you get a lot of people coming in on the trams. You've got the trains, I say, coming in. Most of them terminate at Victoria. So you've got your concourse. You've got some stairs that lead up to a mezzanine level that leads into the entrance into the arena itself. And when you enter into there, called the box office area, because we have got the box office there where you can buy your tickets and stuff. And then there's some double doors that lead into the concourse to the arena itself. So this area is where a lot of people will congregate and wait for people coming out. There's then some stairs there as well that lead down into a car park, and some stairs that lead down into the train station as well. There's some steps that lead up to another level that leads into office block. So to get up to it, you come in, you go up the steps along the mezzanine level. There's also a lift that brings you up to mezzanine level. Go through into the main box office area itself, and then you go through the doors into the arena. So what happened on the night was we've got a male by the name of Salman al-Bedi, British national, born in the UK, but of Libyan descent. His father fought against Gaddafi in Libya, and Salman went out to Libya, and we believe that's where he got sort of radicalized with the jihad, etc. He's come back from Libya. He was actually brought back by British forces, by Royal Navy during the Civil War there. There's a lot of people who were actually excavated from there, and he was actually one of them. So we actually brought him back to the UK, but that was a few years before. But on the night, we've got that Salman goes in. He's got the device on his back, and in that device, we had TATP, trioxetone triperoxide, which is a homemade explosives. We reckon he probably had about 6 kilos in it. It was inside a rucksack. Inside the rucksack was a large tin, like a 20-litre tin. And inside that was a load of 10mm nuts. And then there was another can, which was actually a paint can. And that's what the homemade explosive was in, along with the homemade detonator. He's walked in at about 8:30, stayed in there for a bit, then left, went back downstairs, down on the lift from the mezzanine level. He's gone in there, the toilet's been in there 12 minutes. And then from there, he's come back out, come back up and come into the box office area. He's got up some steps and he's sat up on the area that leads into the office block. This is then about 9:30, an hour before the bomb's gone off. He has been seen up there. Someone's challenged him. He said he was waiting for a friend. But then at 10:31, he's made his way down the steps into the area itself, where the doors leading into the arena are open. You've got people coming out, they're exiting out. You got a lot of people standing around waiting for their loved ones coming out. Because as it said, was Ariana Grande. I'd never heard of her before. I'm a little fogey. But the majority of her fans are teenagers, young kids.
Fans.
Young, yeah.
Yeah, young families and stuff. So yet a lot of parents had let their kids go in there to watch the concert, and then they were waiting for them outside. Some had been in with parents. 10:30 for some reason. Don't know why specifically that time, but we think because he's been spooked, and I'll come to that later. He's walked into the crowd, and as people are coming out, he's detonated the device. The device has gone off, and it's killed 22 people in total. Hundreds were injured, and as you can imagine, it's a scene of devastation. The shrapnel itself inside the device. Later on, as we picked up the shrapnel from the floor over the next couple of days, we picked up 1,920 of these 10mm nuts.
Wow.
Now, your 10mm nuts is just like a bullet going off. So you probably had about 2,500 bullets going off inside that confined space, bouncing off walls, bouncing off the ceiling.
Created to cause maximum damage.
Exactly. Yeah. If you had to wait it probably another half an hour, you would be probably doubling that, even trebling the people that was killed, because of the volume of people coming out there. I've been there many a time, and kicking out time, you are coming out squeezed side by side. She was still on stage. She was doing her encore, so not everybody had left. People were coming out because they've trains to catch. They've got trams to catch. As I said before, it's the train station. The last trains are usually around about 11 o'clock, 11:30.
Some people often try and miss that mass exodus as well, don't they? Start leaving a bit earlier.
Because it is so cramped and horrid, isn't it? So.
And you're a 5-minute walk into the town where all the bars are. So bars will stay open usually about 2 o'clock. So a lot of people go in there first, so that they're not getting everybody, piling in as well. So he's set the device off. He himself has been obviously disrupted. His top half of his body, head, shoulders, and right arm is still all attached, and that gets blown through the doors into the concourse of the arena itself, hitting people as it's gone through, and 2 legs have come off, and his left arm has been blown off as well. And you can see a trail of where his innards and everything's gone. So that's what's actually happened on the night. I had just finished doing the Satan Force on the Friday prior to the bomb on the Monday night, and my sidekick that's up there helping me, a lad called Dave, we had finished there on the Friday, packed everything up, and we came back. And I had actually booked the next week off leave. I left Dave to clean all the kit down, because obviously we've got to make sure there's no contamination. I'd taken a week off, so me and the wife were going to nip across to Malta, flying out at 6:30 on the Tuesday morning. So I'll get up early on the Monday, start getting everything packed, because I've been away for a week doing this Satan Force course. Nip out, get me euros, all the rest of it, come back in, do my packing on the Monday night. Mother-in-law comes down to look after our dog, so I leave my wife and the mother-in-law sit chatting, whilst I says I'm going to bed. Taxi's due at 4 o'clock, so I'll get up at 3. Literally just got into bed. So it's about 20 to 11, quarter to 11. It was probably about 10 minutes later, my wife came in and she says her phone's going mad. There's things coming up there on social media. There's been an attack at the arena. So I'm thinking, shit, better get up. So get up, go and get my works phone from the drawer, which had been switched off because I was on leave for a week. And it's on about 25% battery, and you think, oh,
of course. Isn't that always the way?
Typical, because I came in, switched it off in the drawer, I put that on, and I started looking myself. And someone put on social media, so I texted them back, or I updated asking, what's going on. So a person actually phoned me, and it was a CSI who was on duty, and she says, oh, there's something happened at the arena. There's talk about a bomb going off, but they think it might just be something that's gone off on the stage. One of the speakers has exploded. So I'm thinking, oh well, yeah, that's not as bad as what I've been told. Which 30 seconds later, she went, oh no, hold on a minute. No, it's coming through now. It looks like there's been a device detonated inside the box office area. And we're looking at loads of fatalities. So I'm thinking, well, time to get my clothes on. So got dressed, went downstairs, got on my phone, phoned the on-call exhibit officer, who's the lad Dave, who was with me the week before up at Satan Force. Have you heard anything yet? No, nothing, heard nothing. Having a look around social media, etc. And then get the phone call from the on-call detective sergeant from counter-terrorism unit. And he says they're getting reports coming in now that it looks like it may be a suicide bomber. They don't think it's just a bomb left there. It looks like somebody's walked in there. Can you start making your way into the office?
And what's going through your mind at that point?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
The thing that was really going through my mind was I've only got about 25% on my battery,
And your
not on my
battery.
phone. Yeah. And that's what I'm thinking. My phone, I need that charger. I need a charger. Where's the charger? Where's the charger? You know, make my way into the office, and I only lived 10 minutes from headquarters. So get in there, go up into the investigations office, start finding out what's trying to happen. It's still bedlam at the moment. There was talk that was a marauding gunman as well. There's a reason for that, and I'll come on to that in a minute. My boss by this stage has come in as well, Detective Chief Superintendent Simon Barclough. Start speaking to him, trying to get as much information as we can. We've got first responders going in there, the ambulance in there. That's all being dealt with down at the arena. So I start making a few phone calls around, start trying to get people coming in, because I know it's going to be declared a CT incident at a later stage. At this stage, we didn't know how many was dead. All we knew that there was fatalities. So start trying to get some of the staff in, trying to phone them up, start making your way in the office. We'll get some sort of plan together, what we're going to be doing when we get more information. So times goes on, go up, see my boss, getting a bit of a clearer picture now. It's gone 11:30, gone midnight. He says, right, we need to get you down to the scene. Looks like it is a suicide bombing. We need to get you to the scene to take charge. We've had loads of people into your scene, all the first responders. At the end of the day, that's got to happen. Yeah. Preservation of life is number one. I'll deal with that later on. That can be dealt with over the next few days. Main thing is, if there's still anybody alive in there, we've got to treat them and get them out. Forget about contamination. I got exhibit officer came in, Colette. So there's Colette, Dave, myself, the sergeant in the digital investigations unit, which I ran as well. Managed to get him in. So the four of us were ready to go down there. Got a bit of a strategy sort of together, what we're going to do. We had three priorities, but one had already been done, and that was preservation of CCTV. But my two priorities for the scene was to identify the explosives used and identify the bomber, identify the suspect. We know we've got fatalities in there, and I know I don't mean to sound heartless, but those persons aren't going to give me what I need to hopefully stop another terrorist attack.
Yeah.
That's number one priority we've got to make sure is who is he? If we can find out who he is, where has he come from? Has he got any associates? Where is his last place, etc., etc., etc. So you've got all the intelligence and all the investigations that's got to work from that. And then likewise, what explosives has he used? Has he used homemade explosives? And if it is homemade explosives, which one is it? Where has he got those ingredients from? Is there any more anywhere else? If it's commercial explosives, where has he got those from? What type of commercial explosives? Or if it's military grade explosives, where have they got that military grade explosive from? Things like Semtex and stuff that provisional IRA use and a lot of other terrorist organizations have used in the past. So if we can find out what the explosives are, who he is, it's going to open up all the doors for the investigation of where's everything been made and try and make sure that there's nobody else out there about to do another atrocity like this. We get in the couple of vans and we start making our way down to the scene. Get the blue lights on, we're going down. Dave's driving, I phone my wife, and I said, it looks like it's a runner this. I'm going to be here for some time. I says, obviously, got the taxi coming at 4 o'clock, and we got on the plane. I very much doubt I'll make it, but if you want to go there, I'll try and get out there in the next couple of days. And to be fair to Sharon, she said straight away, she says, don't be silly. She says, we'll have a holiday another time. There's going to be families that'll never have a holiday with their loved ones ever again.
Oh.
And it got me through that. I'm thinking, okay now.
Just
that
got
really
me
hits
thinking
home.
of
Yeah.
It hit home straight away.
Yeah,
I'm
it
thinking,
does.
I've got to make sure I do this right. We make our way down to the scene. It's obviously bedlam around there trying to get down to Victoria Station itself. We've got the blue lights on, get to the outer cordon, go through that, and we get down to Victoria Station itself. And outside there was still ambulances, lots of police vans, fire engines, etc. Now, the concourse area in Victoria Station was the sort of triage for all the injured persons, etc. So most of the injured parties had gone, but there's still some people there being treated, etc. A lot of medical equipment lying around. So we says, right, we'll go up the steps onto the mezzanine, and that's where we had another cordon there, just a piece of tape going across to lead into the box office area. And at the top there was a detective superintendent from our major incident team who was handing over the scene to myself. So I went up there, took control of the scene now as a counter-terrorism led investigation, and I'm now scene manager, bomb scene manager, crime scene manager, forensic manager, whatever you want to call it. I'm now calling the shots within here. We also had a BTP, British Transport Police, CSI, who'd been in the scene. So he gave me a bit of briefing about what's been in there. And again, he said, you've seen knackered. There's been hundreds of people in. There's loads of stuff being brought in, but it is what it is. So my first question was, the deceased, they're in there. Can I confirm that they are deceased? Every single one of them is deceased? Yes. And what they had done was they'd put a label around the wrist. So we knew that they were deceased. So in that case, again, I don't mean to sound callous, but I'm not interested in those at this stage. We will deal with that later. And I've given evidence at the arena inquiry and at the Old Bailey and stuff, and in my statement, and the families realise that. You know, questions were asked about why weren't the bodies brought out sooner, but there was a reason for it, and that reason was we wanted to make sure we don't end up having to go to another one tomorrow or the day later, because it's going to take some time to deal with the bodies.
It must be really difficult decisions to make, and you know you've got deceased people in there, and the families are going to want to know what's happening as soon as possible, but you've got these big decisions to make, and those people have sadly passed, and there's nothing that can be done about that, but actually preventing a potential other attack, it's got to take priority in those circumstances, hasn't
Exactly. And I think the families realised that when they were told it.
Yeah.
And I'll come on again about when we done body recovery, there was questions why was ones brought out sooner than the others. And again, there was a reason for that. So we get there, try and find out as much information as we can. We've been told that the remains of we believe to be the bomber, because of the disruption to him, is now through these doors, and they're in the console itself of the arena. So it was a case of getting as much info as we can. And at this stage, I was told that there was 19 dead inside, and 3 had gone to hospital. So they've died on the way to hospital, with the 22 in total. So it was a case of, right, let's get in here. Common approach path, as soon as we walk in, we'll stay to the right-hand side. We'll walk along the side where the steps are that lead up, not knowing that he was up there to start with. Lead up to where the box office windows are. We'll turn in front of the box office windows. We'll walk in front of there, and we'll go in to the concourse of the arena itself through the end doors that were open. We won't deal with anything else at this stage. We'll have a quick look around the debris, etc. But our priority is to get in and see him.
Just for our listeners that don't know, can you explain what a common approach path is and why it's so important?
Yes, actually asked that as well in the Old Bailey and at the arena.
Was I on the inquest?
Yeah.
The inquest.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. You can listen to it. I actually had to put it. I put it in a statement, because he then says, you know, what a common approach path is. And if your common approach path is a path that the forensic teams will try and adhere to as much as possible, so they're not walking all over any forensic evidence. So if we stay to this path and everyone follow that path, then you're minimizing contamination and the disruption of any other evidence at that time. Bearing in mind, with people being walking all over there. So your common approach path is basically that. It's your forensic path you're going to take without compromising or contaminating any more of the scene. So we stood at the doors, and there's myself, the 2 Daves, Colette, the lad from BTP, and I said to Colette, we don't know what the health and safety is like in here. We want you to photograph as much as you can. Just keep on taking photographs as we're walking around. We'll take our time assessing everything, and we'll get to see if we can get down to where he is.
At this point, had you had the arena cleared to say there's definitely no more explosive devices inside? Were you confident that it was just this one suicide bomber with one bomb, or were you guys potentially at risk too?
They had evacuated the arena. There was still searches ongoing with search teams in the arena itself. With still firearms officers in there. And EOD had been in and they had looked at the remains of the bomber and they had a look round there and there was nothing obvious. We didn't believe there was anything else in there, but that's not to say there could have been something in there. They waited outside, the bomb squad EOD, and in fact I had to bring them back in because we did come across something later on.
And were you nervous at that point? Yeah, it's quite scary. Were you nervous?
I don't think, no, I wasn't nervous. I think it was just a case of the adrenaline's kicking in here now.
Yeah.
Know. So say we stood at the doorway and I remember looking in and I must admit in the back of my head, I'm thinking, what the they would do here? You know, because you could see all the deceased at one side onto the left, loads of blood, loads of smears, all the damage, etc. And it was either himself or Dave, I think it might have been Dave that says to me, it's just a big Satan force. So when we did Satan force, you do two deceased persons that we do body recoveries from, and we do a small IED. So that sort of really hit home now is, well, yeah, we've trained for this, let's just go along with our training. We went in as a team. We stayed to the right. We walked round. You could see the shrapnel, everything on the floor. We're walking over that. There was no deceased round here. They were at one side, but you could see a deceased in front of us. And then as we got to the steps that lead up to where the office block, there was another deceased up there with a body bag over the top of them for respect to where we covered the bodies were covered. We then got to where the box office windows are and then swing a left there, walk across, and that would get us into where the remains of the bomber was. But you could see where the seat of the explosion was because we had the deceased in a circle round it. We actually went over to have a look. You could see where the marble floor had all the mottles in there where it's been hit with the shrapnel. So we knew that was definitely the seat. And you could see where he's been blown across through everyone. As we're coming up near enough to the doors that lead in to where the bomber was, or the remains of the bomber, you could see bits and pieces of the device. It looked like it was a rucksack. Lots of big bits of metal that we noticed. We noticed what looked like a battery. We noticed it looked like a switch. So we're visually seeing this as we're going around. So we'll come back to that in a minute. We will come back and recover those. But at this stage, that's not going to tell us who he is or what the explosives are. And then as we're coming up towards the door, one of the lads had said, what's this here? What's this on the floor? So I bent down, had a look at it, and it was a Halifax bank card, and it was all mottled and all sort of burnt along the top. Picked it up, had a look at it, obviously gloved up and stuff, and it had the name on there, Salman Abidi. So we sort of looked at each other going, why is this lying here? Has this been close to the bomber? And I'm thinking, from the experience I've talked about before, training with the FBI and blowing things up, this is what it would look like if something's been close to a bomber when the bomb's gone off, because it's mottled. It hasn't been dropped. It hasn't fallen out of someone's pocket. No one's just stood on it or anything like that. It's been very, very close. If it hasn't been in his pocket, it's been to one of our victims, but there was no victims around here. They were all to one side. I must admit, for a couple of seconds, you've got these little men on your shoulders, and one saying, you better phone that in. And this one saying, well, if it's not relevant, I'll look a right prat. This one will. You look a bigger prat. If it is relevant, you don't do it. Well, yeah. And you got that sort of split second, basically, a few seconds, and I thought, I better let the boss know about this. I phoned Mr. Barraclough, and I said, I think I've got something here, boss. What is it? I said, I found a bank card. It's mottled. It's damaged at the side, been very, very close to the seat of the explosion. The bomber might have had it on him when the bomb's gone off. So says to him, right, this is it, Salman Abidi, and what the bank code is. So he says, what's your gut feeling? I says, gut feeling is he's had it on him. So he says, right, we'll obviously run with this now. That was 12 minutes from us walking in the door to me making that call was 12 minutes.
Wow. What a find. That's
exactly.
So quickly in.
Exactly. If it had been in his jeans pocket, if it had been in his jeans pocket, we wouldn't have found that till the early hours of the morning because his legs had been blown into where our victims were. So we didn't get to that until later on that day. But because it was there, we had it within 12 minutes. straight away, first thing you do, PNC check, comes back. Salman Arbidi is known on the PNC. It's been done for theft in the past. I think it was assault as well. So if he's on the PNC, fingerprints, DNA, photograph.
Got it. Yeah.
So phone me back and says he's known. Happy days. Put it back in situ. Well, just leave it here for the time being. We'll come back and get it. Let's go think and have a look at him. So we then go through into the concourse, and the top half of him was blowing through the doors. It's lying in the concourse, and the teams had put a brown paper sheet just over the top of him, just to cover him up. Recovered the sheet, and his face is intact. Some blood on there, but his face is intact. So if he's known, we've hopefully got his photograph. Let's get him photographed and let's get this out here.
Again, another stroke of luck that his face was intact.
Yeah, because then you can get your visual ID very quickly.
Exactly. So we've got that. His right arm, shoulders still attached to the top half of him. His left side's completely gone, and his legs and beneath his waistline is gone. So he's got still this top bit. Below the full front of the chest bit has all been blown through. But we've got his face. So got Colette take loads of photographs of his face. They sent someone down to take the SD card. They came right down, took 15, 20, 25 minutes, whatever. We handed the SD card over, and straight away, he is known to us. He was known to the security services. We did have a photograph for him, and they were able to give a 99% sort of certain it's him. But obviously, we need fingerprints, DNA, or dentology to confirm it's definitely him.
Yeah.
So time's ticking round now. We're going into the early hours of the morning. I'm making phone calls all the time, getting more staff to come in, getting the forensic explosives laboratory to come up, getting the bomb data center where we use down in London. Oh, my phone's just going like a chippy. You know, you're coming off one phone call, you're back on, and you've got 5 messages. Bloody hell! But it's just going mad, as you can imagine. We make the decision, right? We're now wanted to the fingerprint who believed to be Salman. We have what we call a Seek machine, and the Seek machine is a portable fingerprint machine, basically. They use it for road traffic accidents and stuff like that, albeit the ones that we use are military grade. Basically, it's a box sort of shape machine. This one was working off 3G/4G, a SIM card in there. It's got a little pad. You put your fingerprint on the pad, little screen that will flick up. It's got a QWERTY keyboard, works off Windows. So you log yourself in, you put like a temp print form that you do for your fingerprints, and then you just work through the fingerprints on there. Goes on to this temp print form, you save it and you send it off. Gets transmitted, and it's getting transmitted down to New Scotland Yard, to the CT fingerprint department down there.
Not like the old days when it would have been done with inking or powdering.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we'll
Much
come on to that in a second. We've got the kit with us, so I'll leave it with the 2 Daves, and they're doing the fingerprinting. I'm back in, making some other phone calls, thinking about DVI and stuff like that, disaster victim identification, and how we're going to start dealing with the bodies. But at this stage, we're not going to be going down that way, but looking to see where we could set up a temporary mortuary, etc., etc. So things are just going at a mad pace. So we then go in and we've got to think about swabbing for the explosive trace as well. But we're still dealing with Mulatto. A couple of more staff turn up. We're now looking at about 5 o'clock in the morning. So get them to have a look at the site of the explosion and start doing swabbing for explosive trace. So we have specialized kits that we use, and they've gone and done the kits. The kits then have got to go down to the explosive laboratory, but that's where they'll do the initial analysis, etc. Because of its explosives, we can't send it to an ordinary forensic lab. It's got to be done down there. So we get blue light runs and helicopters and everything starts taking this down there, whilst we've got the scientists coming up to us as well. So we've got people swabbing that area, and we're dealing with our guy. Try fingerprinting him, and as we press send, the signal won't go to out down to London. So I'm on the phone to London. Yeah, we've sent it. It hasn't arrived. Let's try it again. So we try it again. Sent. It hasn't arrived. So we throw it to one side. Bloody thing's not working. It's worked in training all these times. It's not bloody working now.
That's sod's law, isn't it?
Exactly. So we then got to go, well, what are we got to do here? We've got to get his fingerprints.
Old school.
So old school.
It's all right having this technology, but if it doesn't work, you're buggered, aren't you?
Exactly.
And the arena's notoriously bad for its internet.
for the signal, and that's what happened. Later on, when we were taking the seek out later on during that day, the thing pinged, and what it was, because it was only on 3G, and that didn't even go in my head at that time, that the signal's not here. So we had the lad from British Transport Police there, his van's nearby, right, go and get us some black ink or black powder. We'll just powder his fingers, we'll stick it onto some card. I had spoke to fingerprint department at Greater Manchester Police, turned them out, says we're going to get these prints down to you as soon as. Cut long story short, we managed to print a thumb and a couple of his fingers on his right hand, because his right hand's still attached to his head.
Yeah.
So we get that done, just put them into ordinary bags, and again, get them blue lighted over to the fingerprint department. But at the same time, whilst we're doing that, we're stripping him off. He still had a bit of a jacket on him. So go through the pockets of the jacket, and in the pockets of the jacket, we find something that's rolled up with some black tape around it. Now, I didn't know what it was, and it was a case of, right, I'm not happy with this. That could be another possible homemade detonator or something along those lines. Everybody out while we get EOD back in. So we moved away from him back into the main arena, the box office area. EOD, they come in, they have a look at it, and basically what it was a tissue, but then it had some black gaffer tape wrapped around it. That's all it was. It wasn't anything explosive, but we didn't know at this stage.
Strange in itself,
very
isn't
strange.
It would make you think.
Where we think it's come from is the switch is a rocker switch. So you switch it on off. So when he's primed the device, what he doesn't want to do is flick that switch prematurely. So what we think he done was he put a bit of gaffer tape over the switch. So until the gaffer tape's taken off, he couldn't flick that switch. So we think that's where the gaffer tape came from. So we take his coat off, the decision that we would send his jacket off for explosive trace. So we bagged that up into nylon bags. We got a piece of metal, which was all sooty in the inside. So we knew that was part and parcel to the device. So again, bagged that up, and we done the swabbing of the seat of the explosion as well. So we got those 3 exhibits, and they were fast-tracked off to the Forensic Explosives Laboratory. We've now got his fingerprints on here, got his photograph. We think it's Selman. We've got our main scene itself. You're now coming up till 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. In the meantime, myself and the lad that was dealing with electronic sort of side of things, me and him went round each of the deceased, and what we did was they were all covered over, but we went and we just got a very brief description of our deceased. So female, approximately 18, wearing blue jeans, white trainers, pink top, and that was it. And we just went round that sort of way, and we didn't turn the bodies over and have a proper search them at this stage. We knew, as I say, they were deceased. There's not much we could really do at this stage for them, but we just wanted to get a bit of information and intelligence so we can pass that out, because there's going to be obviously families are grieving and they want to know, is my loved one in there? So it was just a very brief get this together whilst we were waiting for DVI and stuff like that. One of the things that was horrible was sometimes mobile phones were ringing. So mobile phone in someone's pocket was ringing.
People are looking for the loved ones.
Exactly, yeah, and there's nothing you could do with it, you know. And there's another one was ringing in the main scene itself as well.
That must have been quite heartbreaking, because we often say it's when that veil's broken between the place that you go to detach to do your job and actually then the reality of it and the humanity of it, when you know someone's loved one's looking for this person, doesn't know yet whether they're dead or alive, and then here you are next to the body with the phone ringing. That must be pretty heartbreaking.
And until you do the proper identification, you can't sort of surmise. We're talking then about the DVI sort of side, how we're going to do recoveries. More staff are coming. So with DVI, you have the top of the DVI is what they call the SIM, Senior Identification Manager. And then you've got the SIO from the investigation side. So you have the SIO deals with investigation, and your SIM will deal with the DVI side of it, where they work with what they call a mass fatality working group. So you'll have the coroner and pathologists and odontologists, DNA experts, fingerprint experts, and they work as a group. So we were setting up that we said we'd set up the DVI sort of station where you've got the box office area, the side of where the windows are. there's some stairs that lead down to an area that then leads to a walkway that goes out onto Trinity Way, which is one of the main sort of streets at the side of the arena. But then there's also an entrance that goes into the underground car park, the multi-story car park, and then another entrance, another sort of exit from this area that goes down into the train station as well. So it's quite a big area. So he says, right, that's where we'll do our temporary mortuary down there. And we're able to work it out as well that we can get all the equipment coming in via the car park. So you can get it straight into there, the nut wells where you're going to leave the deceased while we're waiting to get them moved out. And nut wells are sort of like racking that gets covered over and they're refrigerated. So we can keep a deceased in there for a few hours, etc. And we'll also be able to do a dirty side and a clean side down there when we got the DVI teams in. And as you walked up the stairs from this area up into the arena where the bomb went off, there was a railing in the middle. So it was like a natural barrier. So what we did was we put a piece of tape downstairs as well. And that side was the clean side and this side was the dirty side.
Bob?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just ask you, for
Yeah.
our listeners who don't understand what a clean and a dirty side is, could you just give a brief description of that, please?
Yeah, we used 4 teams that were going in to do our body recovery. So they would get suited up. They would what we call clean. So that's your sort of clean side where all your equipment is, all your clean equipment. They will then be told, there's a board there, and they were told to come up the stairs, see me, and I would show them which is the body they'll be dealing with. So they would then do the body recoveries. You'd have the person in charge, you'd have a photographer, and then you'd have the searchers, and they go through the searching of the victims. There's booklets that we use, the DVI booklets, and they record everything in there that may be in people's pockets, etc. But then we leave it all with the deceased. We don't recover the property at this stage, but we'll make a note of everything. So it might be a purse with someone's details in there. So they would then do the body recovery with the strategy that we would still bag hands, head and feet that you would normally do at a murder scene, because you want to protect any evidence that may be around there. There was a little bit of why are you doing this, because we know what's happened. But at this stage, yes, we believe these are 22 innocent victims, but one of them could have been an accomplice. We don't know this at this stage. So the team will come in, they'll deal with their deceased. They get wrapped into a body sheet and into a body bag. And then they would take that body bag down the other side of the stairs and into what we would call the dirty side. And we call it the dirty side is because there is some contamination on some of the body bags. Because there's blood and other items lying on the floor, because you've got to open that body bag to get your body into it, it can get contaminated. So when they take it down there, that's what we class as the dirty side. So there may be contamination in there. And what you got to remember as well, we don't know what's in the blood. There could be diseases. At this stage, we've no idea. So the team would go down there, book the body in, hand over their notes, etc., hand over the SD card for the cameras, strip off into biohazard bags, step over the piece of tape onto the clean side, and then put on new protective clothing. Then get told where the next body is. They'd come back up, do the same process, go back down the left-hand side into the dirty area, strip off, and then into the next one. That's the way we would work it. So we're trying to keep contamination to a minimum and health and safety to a minimum. So we haven't started the DVI at this stage because we're waiting to get the teams into place. We've also got to get the equipment brought down there, the nut wells, etc. We've got to get the mortuary ready. And in this case, we use the mortuary at Royal Oldham Hospital because there's a purpose-built mortuary there for all the homicides in Greater Manchester. But it gets used by the hospital when it's getting used by crime scene. So we had to get some of the deceased that were already in there out so we could take it over for our victims. We also were waiting for a portable CT scanner to come for outside the mortuary as well, so all the bodies could be scanned to make sure there's, again, no explosive devices stuck inside them. So that obviously takes time throughout the day. So we're coming through around about 9 o'clock, before that, when I get a phone call from the fingerprint department to say they've had a look at these prints and they've got Salmon's there as well, but they can't give me an identification at this stage. So why not? It says because we haven't got his right hand. So I'm giving it,
What?
don't mess me around. I've been up all night.
Yeah.
I'm busy. My phone's going like a chippy. Is it him or is it not him? And he says, no, when he got arrested, his hand was in plaster. It was in a bandage.
Oh, no.
Oh, bloody
So
hell.
we've never. So there's what, hundreds of thousands of people on the PNC, Police National Computer, their fingerprints, and there's probably only half a dozen where we haven't got both hands.
Yeah,
and who
that
was one of
rarely
them.
happens.
Bloody
So
hell.
so we're taking some DNA as well, and we were going to get that fast tracked out. But obviously that's going to take time. So his left arm had been blown off. The switch was in his left pocket. So when he's flicked the switch, it's blown his arm off, and his arm was in the main area, the box office area. We knew it was his arm because it was none of our other victims' arms. It was definitely his. He still had a piece of his coat on, so we knew it was that. It was a case to the fingerprint team. They blue lighted themselves across. They came in, got them all suited and booted. So they printed it there and then. They had the prints with them, and they were able to give me a confirmation that the left hand that we found there, which is missing from the bomber, is Salman Abidi's. They obviously have got to take it back to the office and do it to the standard that's required for court.
Yeah, of
But for
course.
this, they were able to say that what we've got here is Salman Abidi. So we've now got a formal ID on him, fingerprints. By this stage, some doors had gone in. This is now 8 o'clock in the morning. So they'd already started finding out where he is from and last known addresses and stuff like that. So warrants had been got. They're ready to take the investigation further. We're still in the scene. We're still doing our bits and pieces in the main scene itself. We get the explosive trace down to Fort Halstead. They do their preliminary checks on it and get the phone call. We believe it to be triacetone triperoxide, homemade explosives, TATP. So again, that phone call goes into the boss. TATP, you can Google it. Don't Google it too much because you may end up with a knock on the door.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're going to end up on a...
you
on
can't
a-
Google it. There's three ingredients: hydrogen peroxide at a heavy strength, a big strength; acetone, which you buy over the counter for nail varnish remover or for a solvent in working in chemistry, etc. And acid, usually hydrochloric acid, or you could even use sulfuric acid. So those three things mixed the right way, drained off, made into a powder, will give you a homemade explosive. So the big thing is then, well, where have they got them from? Where have they made that? Where's the bomb factory? So this is what we've got to now, number one priority. So we're able to know that it's TATP. We know that it's Salman Abidi, and we're around about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning at this stage. So it's progressing well from when it's gone off.
Yeah, got a lot of information
Very
very
quick.
quickly for a
Definitely.
scene of
Yeah.
that size and complexity.
Yeah, it's worked well. But then what we didn't realize was in the box office area, there's a bit of a glass roof, and there's some panels up there, obviously thick panels of plate glass. When we had gone in at 1:30 in the morning, 1 o'clock, it's obviously dark. We still got lighting in there, but you can't see outside. Now you can see outside, and you can see that a lot of these glass panels have been cracked and have been shattered. They're not directly over where our deceased are, most of our deceased are, but they're just to the side of that. So we had to sort of bear that in mind. A lot of damage to the walls as well, structure damage to a lot of the panels. But the main wall itself, the brick wall, seemed to be intact. The main roof seemed to be intact as well, but a lot of shrapnel damage up there as well. Obviously, I mentioned there before, we also had the bio consideration. A lot of blood everywhere, smears, and him himself, obviously, when he's blown up, you've got 8 pints of blood getting fired all around the box office area. So we had to sort of bear that in mind as well. So now we're looking at trying to get all our teams together for the DVI, more staff coming all the time. So we're able to start to do a bit more recoveries. Bomb Data Centre came up from London. If you've never heard of them before, their expertise is looking at what's left after a device is detonated. And they'll look at serial numbers, they'll look at different types of switches, and they're able to give you loads and loads of information about that device. Because some organizations use the same equipment, so they can give you a heads up. And the lad that came up to us, a fantastic bloke, absolutely fantastic. And as soon as I saw him walk through, you get that relief. You think,
Yeah.
oh, thank God
Like,
for
I
that.
know this guy, he knows his
Exactly,
stuff.
and I know he's going to take a lot of pressure off me straight away. And he did. And likewise, when the forensic explosive laboratory staff walk in and somebody else walks in, and oh, thank God for that.
Yeah.
The cavalry have arrived.
That must have been so much pressure on you. So to get some of those bits picked up and, somebody's taken some of that load, that must feel brilliant.
Definitely, yeah. Because although I'm there and they're running things by me, I'm able to let them get on with it.
Yeah.
And they would come across and say, right, this is a switch. And, they'll be able to say straight away, that switch, I know that switch can only be bought in Screwfix. So straight away, you've got another lead. So that's being fed back to the team. They've been buying stuff in Screwfix, right? Well, where's the nearest Screwfix? Here, and here. Right, get people around there. Has anyone bought this battery in the last 5 weeks or whatever? So you're starting to get things happening all the time just by finding little bits and pieces. Rucksack, I got the phone call and he says, you sure it's a rucksack and not like a handheld bag? I says, no, it's a rucksack. I've got some straps here. I've got some details from it. So straight away on the CCTV, yeah, we've got him wearing this rucksack. And then they can start backtracking them. He's been on the tram. Why has he been on the tram? Where's he come from the tram? He's coming in a black cab. Where's that black cab come from? Black cabs come from Granby House, which is where he's made the device. So straight away, by just little tiny bits of information, you're starting to get that bigger picture.
I think what people don't realise with such complex scenes is some aspects of it move really quickly. And as you're pulling in information, people move on it and it's such a massive team effort. But then there's also some parts of it that move really slowly and kind of have to move slowly as well to make sure that you're getting everything.
Exactly. Yeah, spot on. And that was to do with the sort of DVI side. We didn't want to start just a few of us dealing with it. We've got to make sure we do this right, because we've got to get these victims back to the loved ones. And as much as I said before, it may sound a little bit callous that we just had to leave them there while we're doing all this other stuff. There's nothing we could have done. If we had done it wrong, then we would have been really obviously criticised.
The last thing that you want is to misidentify someone.
Exactly.
It's just
horrendous.
Exactly. So the coroner came down to the scene and we got him up to the glass doors that lead in, and we're talking to him and I'm asking him about the people that are injured, and he says we've got a couple that are critical or sort of beyond critical. You're going to be looking at least maybe about 2 or 3 more fatalities over the next 24 hours. And there wasn't. And when I talk about this and I think back now, that's the expertise of the first responders and the hospital staff. Nobody else died. And being told 12 hours later, oh, there'll probably be a few more will die because of their injuries. Don't get me wrong, some of them, are injured for life and paralyzed for life, etc. But they managed to save hundreds of people, and it's a credit to the NHS and especially the first responders.
On the scene.
And the triage downstairs and getting tourniquets on and treating people straight away, that nobody else died. And I always remember him saying that to me, we're probably looking at a few more. But as it was, thank God there wasn't. So then the pathologist came down, spoke to them, spoke with the gaffer, spoke with the SIM, how we're going to do this, got a forensic strategy in place. A very quick one. I'll take a 1-page, one photograph it and send it on my mobile phone. This is my strategy. Do you agree with this, boss? Yes, we do. Right, we're going ahead with this. So obviously on a murder scene, whatever, you'd be going in, you'd be going for briefings, you'd be doing your strategies. But here, it was just dynamic the whole way through. We then decided when we started to get the DVI ready to go, I remember saying to the coroner, he said, how long do you think it will take? So I'm saying, well, it's 10 o'clock now, sir. We've got 19 in here plus him. We're going to be looking at, midnight tonight, maybe even tomorrow before we can get everybody out. And credit to the teams. We started around about 2 o'clock. And they had the last one downstairs in the Nutwells at 9:20 that night. They worked fantastic, absolutely brilliant. The bomber, bad guy, we made the decision that we would recover him first and we would take him down to Liverpool, to a mortuary at Liverpool, away from all our victims. So we
Yeah.
would get him
Yeah.
out, and then we can then deal with our victims. Again, that was queried in the inquiry, etc. And what we wanted to do there was, for the respect of our victims, we wanted to get them away, and now we can concentrate on them.
Yeah.
And we can, make sure we've done the right for them to get them out.
You don't really want them in the same place, do you? Out of
No.
respect, you don't want them in the same
Definitely
building.
not. Plus, forensic wise as well, but
Yeah.
definitely out of respect from them, they'll get them
Yeah.
away. So, and as I say, it's around about 2 o'clock-ish or so, we started getting him out, and then we started on our victims then. And that's when some of the glass roof came down. So the glass roof just smashed, just big panels came down on top of us and just crashed all over. Well, one came down, and we basically shit ourselves. We thought another bomb had gone off.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, hit the ground. And what that? We were lucky enough, it didn't go on top of all. Some of the glass went onto some of the victims, but didn't drop on our victims. So again, we had the victims numbered off. So we started taking the victims from the outside the circle. And that's when it came up at the inquiry. Why did you take them first? And why did you leave my loved one at the other sort of side of the circle? And it was a lot to do with that. Plus, all of them were close by. So as I said before, we've got a body sheet and a body bag you've got to open. So you've got to give a bit of area around there. So you're talking, 3 or 4 square meters that you need. So if you're doing a body by side, you can't really do that because there's no space to put your body sheet down. So you've got to look at where you can get to the next one. So you're not stepping on top of bodies, obviously, or stepping over them. You're starting to work your way around them.
So was there anybody injured in the glass coming down?
No.
Fortunately.
As it was, where it came behind some of us. So it was, shit, what do we do here now? We all got out, had a bit of a conflab. He's still happy to go ahead. Yeah, of course we are. We've got to get the body recoveries done. So they brought us some hard hats down. And then what we've got as well was a couple of fire officers to stand by the glass doors, leads in, and their job was just to keep an eye on that glass roof, because you could see some of the other ones bowing because everybody started coming down. And their remit was to stand there with a whistle, and if they saw and thought it was about to come down, blow the whistle. And my remit to the staff was, if you hear that whistle, just run, get out of here. Yeah, that was our health and safety. Thinking back on it now, but we probably broke every health and safety rule that there is.
By going in. You sometimes go in these scenes, don't you?
But do we leave it 24 hours? We had the fire service come in, and they had a bit of a conflab about, can we put some sort of tarpaulin across or build something up? And they're saying you can do, but you're going to talk 24 hours, 36 hours to build that, to get it secure. And we just didn't have the time. So that's what we've done then.
And that's the thing, isn't it, about crime scenes? It's always a dynamic risk assessment. Yeah. And for you're responsible for your own, but everybody else's health and safety as well. And when you take those decisions, you don't take them lightly, and you never know how it's going to change, do you, in the moment? That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I sort of stayed there till about 10 o'clock at night. It was. I haven't been there from the early hours of the morning. We says, right, well, we'll close the main scene down, and then we can crack on again first thing tomorrow morning to start then doing the forensic recoveries. Because you need a break, don't you? And that's another part of the health and safety is staff welfare. Like, you've already been there, cracking on for almost 24 hours. Not far off. And well, I've been up the day before on the Monday. So again, I was up at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I didn't get any sleep on the Monday night. And then you're back up again all through Tuesday as well, to Tuesday night. So, you're over 36 hours at the scene kind of thing. So we started staying there at the arena then for the rest of the week. But at the same time, I'm getting reports coming in of more scenes coming up. And obviously they started to need staffing as well. So we established a couple of other addresses over through the Tuesday of these addresses coming in relating to Abidi. And what happened was, he was in the UK, him and his brother, and in the 17th of April, they bought a motor vehicle off eBay or something along those lines, and where they paid £150 for this little car. Little Nissan, and they were staying at the time in a high-rise block of flats in North Manchester called Somerton Court. And the flats itself belonged to another Libyan who was renting this flat from the council. But what he was doing then, he was subletting it
to other people and charging them more. So a little bit of fraud going in there.
Yeah.
So he was giving the council £100 a week and he was charging them £150 a week, something along those lines. And he knew the Abidis from being in the Libyan community. So what had happened was them two were in this flat. They're in it for a few weeks. And then they bought this car and drove it to Somerton Court. In the early hours of the morning, Somerton Court, they took some stuff from Somerton, put it into this car, and one of them drove it to a block of flats, a small block of flats in South Manchester, down near where the Manchester Royal Infirmary, whilst the other one got a taxi and followed it in the taxi. And what it was that's where they made the TATP in Somerton Court. So they done all the mixture up there. Then we believe they put it into a big blue barrel, plastic barrel, the red lid on it, put the wet solution into that, and they left that in the car. They also left some other blue barrels in the car with a lot of shrapnel in it, but mostly nails. And then there was other bits and pieces in the car as well. The car gets parked up by these. It's only like a 3-story building, but where the car park goes round, it's a bit overgrown in one end. They know someone who's got an apartment in this block, and they ask him, a friend, can we leave a car here for a couple of weeks, and we'll come back for it? So this lad says, yeah, of course you can, and he parked it right in the corner, so it was out of the way for everyone. So this is on the 17th. And then both of them leave the country and they go back to Libya. Obviously, we don't know anything about this at the time. Salman himself comes back on the Friday before the bomb goes off on the Monday night. He flies back from Libya via Istanbul, Frankfurt, and then into Manchester Airport. Gets into the airport on his own. First thing he does is he makes his way down to this car. And it looks like the car won't start. Because prior to him coming back, he rented an apartment called Granby House in Manchester, down in the city centre. He's asked for a 6-month lease. He's paid money up front, 3 months up front, and he specifically asked for a car parking space. And they says, yes, there's a space for you in the basement. So when he comes back, he goes to the car. The car obviously doesn't start. He walks away from the car and he walks into Manchester itself, into the city centre. Goes into Sports Direct and he buys the biggest suitcase he can get, and he walks back up to the car. It's about 1.5 miles, 2 miles. Takes stuff from the car, and from there he walks down to Granby House. We know he's then gone from Granby House back up to the car, taking something else, and then gone back down to Granby House, and he never goes back to the car again. When we eventually find the car, that the battery's flat, so we think that's what's happened. He's then been in Granby House, and that's where we know he's constructed the device. He's had to leave some stuff behind in the car, but he's gone out and he's bought a big rucksack, again from Sports Direct. He's bought what we call a money tin, and it's a big 50-litre tin, and there was a motif of a £5 note on the outside of it. And then that would be fitted inside the rucksack. And then he also went and bought a 5-litre tin of paint, which he threw the paint down the grid outside Granby House at the back. And that's what he's put the TATP into. And then he's also bought a battery from Screwfix. And then he also ordered 6,000 10mm nuts from Screwfix. But when he went round to pick them up, he couldn't carry them, they're too heavy. So he only took 3,000 away. So you're talking, 30 kilos here, really heavy. Obviously, people saying, well, did nobody sort of raise any eyelids?
Well, enough, I was just about to say the same thing myself. Like, there's nobody thinking, hang on a minute, who wants 6,000 nuts?
Thank God he couldn't carry them all. Would have been a lot more.
So that questions were asked, and they've said, people come in, they buy it for different things. They can buy them for ballast, for weights. They can use the screws for that. So no, it didn't raise any sort of eyelids. We then also bought some little halogen bulbs. He bought some glue. He bought some other bits and pieces, which we were able to track over the weeks after the bomb. We then believe he's gone to the car, as I say, he's taken one of the blue barrels out, he's taken that back, and that's where the wet TATP's in there. He's then dried that out using towels and filter systems. He's then turned it into powder, the TATP itself. Put that into the can, the paint can, into the money tin, all the shrapnel around it, and then a homemade detonator that went into the TATP. And he's used there a Coca-Cola can, which he's cut out into an oblong, made it into a circle, stuck the TATP in there. Little halogen light in there with taking the top of the bulb, and that was his initiator. Again, this all came out in the court, so I'm not saying anything that's not in the public domain.
Yeah.
So we believe that's how he's done it, and he's done it in Granby House. We also know that he's gone out and he's done reconnaissance around the arena. And on the Saturday night, he went and he joined a queue going into the arena, into the double doors that lead into the arena. But when you get your ticket scanned there, he turned around and he walked back out again. So we have him walking all around, doing a bit of reconnaissance around the area. We've then got him going, buying the equipment throughout the next couple of days. We've got him on CCTV the whole time, apart from a couple of hours when we know he is inside this building. So for all the days that he was back, we've got him going on the buses, we've got him walking down the streets, we've got him buying the equipment, etc. Luckily as well, at Granby House, there's a CCTV camera as you walk in, and we've got them coming in and we've got them going back out again each time, and surveillance, we're able to have a look at everything, and we've got that timeline. So that sort of helped us when we were then going and getting other equipment and stuff that would match what he's bought to see if it's the same stuff, etc., etc. So we had these scenes coming in now all the time. We've got the scene up at Somerton, so we've done a tour kit in there, and we recovered some TATP, so we know something's happened in there. Granby itself, there was lumps of TATP in there, the towels and everything that was used as filters, just laden with it. We had to get EOD in and make everything safe. And then we started getting the information coming in. Well, where's he got all this equipment from for the TATP? He bought a lot of it off Amazon. He's got some of his mates to buy it off Amazon. They were buying it innocently, allegedly, but with no other proof for that. So we're getting all these scenes coming in all the time, prisoners coming in all the time. So we needed staff for that. So like I say, I stayed on that for a couple of days, and then it was just too much of it because of what was going on at the arena and all the other bits and pieces. So we started having to fan it out.
That's the other thing as well, isn't it? You've got the scene at the arena, which is massive, but then more scenes coming in, and the staffing and resources that is needed for that. Unbelievable.
Well, like the one at Somerton, or they believed that it was one of the flats on this level, but they weren't too sure. I can't remember the numbers, whether it was number 71 or number 73, but they were going to go in and do an explosive entry into it. So they got the terrorism firearms officers in position, and they done both doors simultaneously because they weren't too sure which one was which. It was into the one that where Salman and Hashim had been, but they also went into the other one where there was a woman sat in there watching TV, and the door gets blown off.
What the fright of
a
a
sudden
life.
got all these
Can you
cops
imagine?
coming in on the floor, show me your hands kind of thing. Because they've had to use explosive entry, etc., to get through that door straight away, then you've got contamination from that as well. You've got firearms officers going in there, so there could be possible contamination. So you've got to always bear all this in mind.
Really, forensically, the whole thing's a nightmare, isn't it, for you?
It was, yeah.
It is,
so
yeah.
After a couple of days and so, we had an idea that he was working alone. And once we started getting the CCTV and nobody else going in there, and the sort of timeline and everything together, we were 99% certain that he's done this himself. The construction bit of it.
There's a lot of planning and preparation gone into it.
Yeah, well, we found some stuff written in Arabic, and it was how to wire up things and things along that line. We know that on the night of the explosion, we'll come to now, he's got up in the morning, he's gone out, and he's taken some items which he's thrown into waste bins nearby, big skips that are outside nearby. Okay. So again, we got some CCTV of him with the suitcase and then without the suitcase, with some other stuff with black bin bags, then without black bin bags. But he's then gone down to Piccadilly railway station, where there's some waste ground nearby, where he's wiped his mobile phone, and he slung that along with his passports, and he slung that into this waste ground. He's then gone and got a black cab at the station and asked him to take him to Granby House, which isn't that far away, and asked him to wait outside for him. So we've got him coming into the flat. 10 minutes later, we've got him walking out on the CCTV with the device on his back, and you can see him crunched over because it's so heavy. We've made replicas of it for court. We reckon it weighed about 35, 36 kilos.
Very heavy.
Yeah, it's very heavy, and you can see when he's walking. So he's got in the cab, there's wind from outside. He's then asked the cab driver to take him to Shoot Hill bus station, which is nearby to the arena itself. But on the way, he asked them, as they go through, we call Chinatown in Manchester, to pull in. He wants to use a cash point. So he gets out of the cab with the bomb on his back, goes to the cash point, gets some money out of the cash point, and then gets back in the cab again. And that's when he's used his cash card. And we think then from there, he's put it into his pocket of his coat and not into his jeans pocket, although he put the money in his jeans pocket. Why did he do that? We're a bit unsure. We're thinking maybe he wanted some cash on him, that if he got spooked, he'd drop the device, start running, and he's got some money on him to pay for a taxi or pay for a bus or pay for a train. He then, taxi takes him up to Shoot Hill, where he gets out. He gives the taxi driver a Quran, apparently, and says, pray for me. And taxi driver, what the bloody hell are you on about? And he thinks nothing of it. He walks off.
That's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, and then the tram that goes into Victoria Station that comes through the city, there's one at Shoot Hill. Now, if you miss that tram, it's quicker to walk to Victoria. It's only a few hundred meters. Well, we've got him walking down Shoot Hill. There's a tram in, the tram leaves. He's waiting there for the next one. You can see he's got the device on his back. Comes in, gets on the tram, takes it into the tram stop at the train station. He makes a phone call on a burner phone. And then from there, he comes up from the train station, goes up, walks along gets the lift to the mezzanine, goes into the mezzanine, has a look round, comes back down, goes into the gents' toilets. He's in there for 11 minutes. We've got CCTV in there from going in with the device, and he comes back out again. We think because there was a mobile phone found in the main scene that was in his possession, but no SIM card. So the possibility is for us the SIM card away. From there, he goes, gets into a lift. First time, a couple of people get in the lift with him whilst he's still got the bomb on his back. Has a look round, comes out, comes back round, gets in the lift again. This time goes up on his own. This is 9:30. So he's walked down. He's had a look at the area itself. Goes up the steps and he waits on the upper level of the box office. You've got CCTV of him on the Victoria Concourse, and he's walking through there, and you see a couple of British Transport Police officers walk past him. But he doesn't look out of the ordinary. He's in a train station with a big rucksack.
Yeah.
People are going on holiday or whatever. So it didn't clock that. There was a bit of a mess up with British Transport Police on the night. Because it's built above the train station, BTP have got primacy over that for crime, and then GMP would have the outskirts of it. So when there's a concert on, depending on what the concert is, BTP will police that concert. If it's something like a boxing match or a darts match or something like that, where you're looking at 14,000 pissed up lads, then GMP will provide support as well. But because it was Ariana Grande and a bunch of kids, there was only a couple of police officers allocated to there, plus I think it was 1 or 2 PCSOs. And because everybody was in the concert, and the concert's going well, hardly anybody about outside, it's a nice quiet night, they went down to South Manchester in the police van for the refreshments, and came out on the inquiry. So they got slated for that because there should have been police presence there, but there wasn't. Because they took an hour for the refs instead of half an hour. So that's what it is. Can't turn back the clock, can you? Well, I'm saying, and if the police had been there and they approached him, there's nothing to say he would have flicked the switch then.
Exactly. There's nothing to say anything different would have happened, is there?
It's just their practices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such an unusual setup, that as well, isn't it? Having the train station part of the arena.
Yeah, they say the barrier, it's all changed now, but the barrier was them
Yeah.
double doors leading in. So somebody there just scanned your ticket and you walked in. Someone actually says to him when he was at the area waiting, someone challenged him, what you doing here? He's like, I'm waiting for a friend. What's in the bag? Oh, it's just my clothes. They then reported him to the show sec security, who's the security team for the concerts in there.
So was that just a random person that was in the area, member of the public?
It
who
was a
flagged
member of the
that?
public. There's a couple of members of the public, but one of them was a retired detective inspector
Okay.
who thought this is a bit strange. And she challenged them and reported him, as you would do. So she reports him to the security. Young lads, 19-year-old lads. One of them sort of, yeah, okay. And he
Probably
was
not
stood
much
at the
training
steps.
and
Exactly. He was stood at the steps at the bottom. His then friend came in, another security, and he mentioned to me, he said, oh, there's someone up there with a rucksack. If it's sus, they say it's sus, but he's just sat there. So what should we do? And it was, be all right, just leave it.
There
And
was
then
quite
the
a lot
lad,
of heavy criticism for the security on the night
there
after the
was,
event, wasn't there?
yeah,
But
definitely.
I
But
think
at this
understandably
stage,
so as well, because there's been a couple of opportunities there actually where he could have been checked. But like Dee said, you don't know, young lads, potentially lack of training.
yeah,
in
that's what it was.
hindsight.
Hindsight's
That's
a
what it
wonderful
was.
thing.
Yeah, he's got a rucksack in here, nothing else. There's no intel whatsoever. People all stood around now waiting for their loved ones coming out. Quite a lot of people stood there. And he's up there for, say, an hour. And then at 10:31, he comes down the steps, walks past. The two lads from Showsec, one of them actually walks out, and he walks out across the mezzanine level. So again, could it be that he thinks, has he gone to get some help? I don't know. So is that what spooked him? He's then walked down, he's walking across. We've got lots of people coming out of the double doors that are all open. You got people all stood around waiting for their loved ones coming out. People stood up on the steps to have a good look. And then he's just walked in. We've got it on. There's CCTV. And then he detonates the device. And then the CCTV goes off. So that's the sort of main story leading up to when the bang went off. And it was just innocent people stood around there. A lot of shrapnel injuries to them, a lot of low-level injuries hitting the limbs, etc. Some obviously hit in the body and head, etc. I think the majority of them were probably dead before they hit the ground. I think that a lot of the pathologists have said that.
You'd like to hope so, wouldn't you, in one respect, because you just don't like to think of people suffering. I think it must bring some comfort to think that people have just gone very quickly and not really known anything about it.
Yeah, definitely. Does that help the families? I hope it does. Yeah, so we've now started to get all this information coming in from these scenes. So Somerton, we know Hashim and Salman were in there, and we've now found TATP in there. The owner, he had come back in and he cleaned everything out, and he said there was pots and pans with all this white stuff in it, and he's thrown all that away. We searched for that and never found it. Yeah, exactly.
Nightmare.
So there's a month later. And in Granby, in the basement, we found a black bin bag in there. And there was some pieces of metal that had been cut and rolled up into what looked like little cylinders, which again we believe to be homemade detonators. And these came from castor oil can. Hashim used to work in a takeaway, and he brought these cans back from him. And I'm talking the big 20 litres of oil. And in the device itself, which we recovered in the arena, we found a piece of clothing in there, which we believe is put on top of the device. So if you looked in, you'd see a piece of clothing. But stuck to that clothing was a piece of metal from an oil can. And we were able to then find that this oil can, with a jigsaw, with a physical fit, matched the cylindrical cans that we found in the basement of Granby, that matched a can that had all been cut up in the home address. So able to patch together these three bits of items back to this one can. And on this one can, we're finding some fingerprints and DNA that didn't belong to Salman, but did belong to one of the Abidis because of DNA. And we believed it then to be Hashim. So we were able to put Hashim's DNA on one of these little cylindrical possible detonators. On the inside of that, when we opened it up and superglued it, we found Hashim's thumbprint inside there. So we've
on
now
the
got
inside of the
this
detonator.
of the possible detonator.
Wow.
So we've got that. We've got it on the cans at the home address, and we've also got this piece inside the bomb that he's got nothing to do with, because it's been Salman who's built the bomb, but something inside that bomb, which we think got stuck to the piece of clothing by mistake, matches other items that we've got Salman's DNA and fingerprints on. We also didn't find the car until about a week after the bomb had gone off, because of where it was been hidden and etc. But we managed to locate where the vehicle was. Obviously, first things first, we put surveillance in there. They had a look in it. They could see some more of these blue barrels in the back. EOD went in, popped the door. They done a check. We were happy there was no TATP there, but we found some of these blue barrels. And we also found, as I say, boxes of screws, boxes of nuts, not nuts, nails, and then other bits and pieces that could be used within a device itself. And again, we were getting fingerprints on there that didn't relate to Salman. So we've now got all this evidence, and we're believing that the DNA and the fingerprints that we're finding at Granby House and Somerton Court, it's all the same, but it's not Salman's. Whose is it? Is it Hashem's? But we didn't have Hashem's DNA or fingerprints. So we then had to start thinking about how we're going to get his fingerprints together. So we started going to through his paperwork at the house. Went round to his last school to see if there's any paper at the school, any books or anything in there. We found some forms that he had filled in when he was claiming unemployment benefit. So we managed to get them. We managed to do a lot of the fingerprinting on them from the hydrant. And we were getting the same fingerprints on these items that we had found on our items inside the vehicle. So again, we were thinking 99% certain these fingerprints belong to Hashem. We were able to do some work on the fingerprints. We were able to extract DNA. So we were getting the full DNA hit on those fingerprints. Again, that matched DNA. It was outstanding from the car and from Granby House, from these bits of metal. I was given a briefing one day about the DNA, and we had him down. He was unknown 5 was who we believed to be Hashem. And one of there was one of the DIs, Frank Morris. He just says, where was he born again? Hashem, was he born in Manchester? I'm saying, yeah, St Mary's. And he says, when? So I says, well, he's 20 odd now, so 20 years ago. So he says, did he have the little heel prick that they do on babies to check for spina bifida and thyroid problems and stuff? So I says, I have no idea. I said, well, obviously it'd be worth a check. We'll check that out. So a couple of lads went down, made some inquiries later on that day. They phoned me up and says, you won't believe this, but I'm stood in this office and I've got a brown envelope in my hand, and inside it is like a bit of blotting paper, and there's a dried in blood stain on there, and it's got Salman Abidi's details on it. So bloody hell. So they says to me, can I seize this? And I'm going, I don't know. So I phoned the boss, we've got it. I think we've got his details right. Get it in. We've got legal authority. Yeah, don't worry. We'll sort that out with the CPS. So we ended up where we had legal authority to bring it in. So that goes down. They test it, and we get a full profile of it 20 years later from this dried in bit of blotting paper, and it matches our unknown, which we believe to be Hashem. So we've now got, we believe, a full 10 print of him. We've got his DNA, and we're able then to put it to all these other bits of the evidence that's coming in. Took that to the CPS to see if we could get him extradited back, because we now believe that he's a conspiracy to cause the explosions as well. Yeah, went for it, and we went for the extradition. Took 18 months to get him extradited, but we eventually got him back. Came back in July 2019. First thing, as soon as we got him into Bigham Hill Airport outside of London, was straight into custody office, fingerprint him.
Fingerprints.
And that sort of half hour waiting to see if it is actually his prints.
Yeah.
I mean, all our evidence is based on. If it's not his prints, then we are...
Yeah.
of the creek without a paddle, for want of a better
Yeah.
phrase. But with fingerprint experts down there from GMP, did everything there, the fingerprints from the exhibits and checking them and going, yes, 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 yes. We're happy that all our evidence, the DNA evidence, is Hashim Abidi.
That
So
must
then we
have
got
felt like such a result to
brilliant.
like 18 months to get that extradition and then getting him back in the country, but then actually waiting and then all of that evidence matching up. It must have been a great feeling.
That was the big thing, especially getting them back, because it was had to go through hoops. And yes, you're going to get them. No, you're not. Yes, you can. No, you're not. Are we going to go in and try and physically get them in special forces and all this lot? Was sort of looked at. But to get them back and then get them charged was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, and then we had got the case together, and then in the February March of 2020, we ended up going to the Old Bailey. He then sacked his brief twice. I give evidence there, but I wasn't cross-examined as such. But I give the evidence, basically what I'm saying here about how we recovered all the stuff, etc. Cellmark had done a lot of the physical fit, so he put that into animations, with loads of animations to do with the scenes and how everything links together. And we were able to show that to the jury. And then we were actually in there on the day, which was I think it was the 16th or the 17th of March, just before the COVID shutdown.
Yeah.
So the next day was when we really shut down. One of our jury members went off sick, just leading up to the final sort of couple of days.
Oh, bloody hell.
Exactly. So the judge says if we lose another one, it'll have to be a retrial. And as it was, we got it through. We got the guilty. And when I was in court, I was in the Old Bailey number 2 court with the case officer, Mr. Barraclough, and all the rest of them. And we had some of the families in there as well. And I'd been speaking to some of the families after I give evidence. We showed them the mock device. Some of them wanted to see it, so we showed them that and talked them through it. And I think that sort of helped them, as we said before. The force of what's going out there. A lot of them would never heard the bang. They would have been dead beforehand. And I think that sort of helped them. And they were in there obviously when the guilty plea came in, and I shed a tear, must admit. It was just a relief. It's 3 years of my life, and we've got justice now. Salman's dead. Nothing we can do with him, but we've got him now. We've got just a little bit of justice. They couldn't give him a full life term because he was 20 at the time of the bombing. So he got 55 years.
Fantastic. And I tell you, I think we could just talk to you for days. It's been honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure and completely fascinating over the last couple of episodes. So again, thank you so much for giving up so much of your time and agreeing to do 2 different episodes with us, because we've loved it.
No problem.
We really
thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
It has been, and I'm sure our listeners will absolutely love it. And we really appreciate you taking our listeners underneath that barrier tape of such a big investigation as well. So thank you, and thank you for our listeners for tuning in for that episode. If you didn't watch Bob's last episode, check it out. It was the episode before this one. That was also fascinating. And we will be back in a fortnight's time, where we will take you back under the barrier tape.